They call it a signature coffee brew, like a Mars bar melted in.
I know we don't have a ton of time to do tech support right now, but I'm getting this, and I've been working on this for weeks now. I keep getting the Mac OS notice that my iCloud storage is almost full. Now, it's okay. So I understand how iCloud storage works. I also went in and deleted like 100 gigs of like downloaded podcast episodes that I've either already listened to or never will again. I am so confused as to where else I can get rid of things. Because when you go to your system settings, it tells you where everything is.
Can't you go to the cloud, like the browser version of iCloud, and see inside?
No, I guess.
I don't think
do that.
I don't think media like podcasts and music and movies and stuff generally applies to your iCloud limit. It's more your user data, like all the stuff in your documents and desktop and downloads folders or whatever you have.
Yeah, but I mean, quite honestly though, none of that stuff is really the lion's share of storage. I don't think, at least based on what Apple is telling me. It's a little bit of a mystery. I don't know. I'm sure there's a solution, because I've heard other people complain about this before, and I go, oh, just go into your system settings, and you probably have like too many videos in your iMessage that you forgot about.
Well, yeah, all the media in iMessage definitely does, like your
Sync.
iMessage.
Yeah.
So what plan are you on for iCloud?
200 gigs.
Okay.
So, I mean...
Yeah. You can go and find, I think if you Google, you can figure out where your iMessage archive is, and you can do it like, do a get info and see how large it is, because I think it would shock you how large it gets, especially if the kind of person that sends and receives like animated GIFs and all sorts of like,
I mean,
live photos and that kind of stuff.
I probably have more photos in messages than I do in my photos library, that just haven't been moved, and so they're, constantly being synced. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I thought I had fixed this the other day, and I was feeling very proud of myself, and apparently I haven't. And iCloud is like how I live.
Yeah, me too.
So I want it to work as advertised.
Like an IV drip, except that it's in the cloud.
I went full cloud because I used to just have a laptop, and then I would dock it and whatnot, and then I eventually got an iMac, so I had a laptop and iMac, and I was getting really tired with like file syncing and whatnot. I was using Dropbox, so then I threw everything in Dropbox, but Dropbox does not like it when you have hundreds of thousands or even like millions of files, and it just wasn't great. So but I tested on that, it worked okay, and then I know the first couple of years of iCloud syncing was not super reliable or trustworthy, but it's gotten better over time. And then I threw everything in there now. So like documents, desktop, I've made like symlinks to different folders, like and throw them in there too, like downloads and whatnot. Now I'm full iCloud everywhere, so I can go to any machine and all the things are in all the places. But I've got the 2 terabyte plan because I'm bad with money. So and I still haven't canceled my 2 terabyte Dropbox yet. So
I mean, listen, if the right option for me is to upgrade, I will. I mean, it's I don't want to pay, but I mean, it's not gonna ruin my life.
It's the best deal as part of the Apple One, and then you get all the other stuff.
1 minute.
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
Thanks for the subscription, Razin.
Did we get a new patron?
Subscription on Prime for the 24th month on Twitch.
Ah, nice. Thanks, Razin. Not to be confused with resin.
No,
Or
Resin hasn't
Raisin.
re-upped. Razin knows where it's at.
Raisins, well, depends.
36.
Some people like them, some people don't.
What about craisins?
I like a raisin. I like a craisin. I like a craisin better than a raisin, really.
I don't even know if they
So hot
sell
right now.
craisins anymore.
Yeah, they
Do
do.
they not?
Costco, they do.
I
Costco,
mean,
they
just
sell
dried
gold bars now, too.
crainberries. You can just buy those and call them craisins.
I haven't had a craisin in a long
10
time.
seconds.
Now I want
Hitting
craisins.
record.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Have a good show, everybody.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Good day, eh?
Hey, good day, Tristan. How's it going?
Great to be here. Although I am hopped up on cold meds, so I cannot take responsibility
we
for
should have
anything
all
I
done
might
that.
say today.
Yeah, why didn't you tell us? We could have had like a fun,
Yeah, we'd have been
really
right there with
chill
you.
Friday. Yeah.
We could have had a Robitussin round robin.
Does Canada have better cold medicine to get hopped up on than the United States?
The good stuff they keep behind the locked cabinets.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I went to Vancouver in the 90s, it was like, ooh, get the Tylenol with codeine because you can get, I don't know.
We can get the back pills with
Now
codeine
we
too.
know.
Yeah, that
Go
was
full
the
Chevy
90s.
Chase.
Okay, all right, Tom Merritt. All right. calm
Well,
down.
let's focus on what we're here for. Thank you, Sarah. Here we go. In 3, 2. This 10th year of Daily Tech News Show is made possible by its listeners. Thanks to all of you, including Philip Shane, Paul Boyer, Brad, and Neil Wilson. On this episode of DTNS, Tristan from AI Named the Show runs down the OpenAI chatbots developers are making, where you can find them, and are they any good? Plus, Microsoft wants to make a third-party mobile game store, and why remote work is here to stay. This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, December 1st, 2023. In Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
Happy December, everybody, from Studio Garage Partey. I'm Sarah Lane.
Drawn the top tech stories. In Cleveland, I'm Len Peralta.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Joining us, the host of AI Named the Show and Momentous podcast, Tristan Jutras. Welcome back.
Happy to be here. How is it December already?
Wait, you know what? We're going to say that every
That's
month
what I said on
because-
November 1st
You know,
and October
yeah.
1st and September
And they just
1st.
keep coming. It does,
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yet it's only been a year and a day since the public launch of ChatGPT.
If things don't change at this rate, it's going
year
to
and
be
a day.
January 1st,
That's right.
pretty soon.
If you don't watch out, it's true.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the quick hits.
Back in May, the U.S. state of Montana enacted SB 419. That's a law that would prevent app stores from offering the TikTok app to customers in the state. Now, the law is set to go into effect in January, but on Thursday, Judge Donald Malloy, granted a request for a preliminary injunction which would prevent the law from going into effect until a case against it can be heard. The judge ruled that the law appears to be too broad and overly affects citizens' rights to free speech out of proportion with the state's governmental interests.
Financial Times reports that X is continuing to invest in attracting advertising from small businesses, as larger advertisers are reportedly withdrawing from the platform. And the hope would be to attract enough volume to make up the difference. FT notes that X will need to build out a more sophisticated self-service platform to increase those kinds of clients.
Telegram rolled out new features for channels, including custom emojis and better channel discovery. You can also now repost stories on your own channels and pages and get improved channel stats. Telegram also extended its voice-to-text transcription feature for free users with a limit of 2 transcriptions per week.
Valve released Steam Link for the Meta Quest 2, Quest 3, and Quest Pro headsets. If you want to use it, you'll need a PC running Steam with a wired connection to your router and then run the game. Your headset needs to be on the same 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi network as that router. And then, if you got all that, you can run your VR games on Steam and play them on the Steam Link app on your Quest headset. In less fun Steam news, it is dropping support for macOS 10.13 and 10.14. That's High Sierra and Mojave, starting February 15th. Mojave is 5 years old, and it was the last one to do 32-bit games.
A week after its acquisition of VMware, Broadcom filed notices indicating it plans to lay off more than 2,100 employees on January 26th. Insider reports that its sources say Broadcom is also reviewing options for 2 business units of VMware as well.
All right, the other big news of the day is from Phil Spencer, yapping his lips at the CCXP Comics and Entertainment Convention in Brazil Thursday. Phil Spencer is the CEO of Microsoft Gaming and confirmed in an interview that Microsoft is talking to partners about launching an Xbox mobile store. Spencer implied it's coming soon. Here's his somewhat cryptic statement. "I don't think this is multiple years anyway. I think it's sooner than that." So that means 1 year? rather than, I'm not sure.
I mean,
The Verge
anything more than one is multiple years.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way I'm reading it. The Verge reported earlier this week on court documents in that Epic case that showed Activision Blizzard had plans to launch an app. Oh, sorry, this was not in the Epic case. This was in the Activision Blizzard case, of course. Showed that Activision Blizzard had plans to launch an app store of its own on Android, but opted for a better ad deal with Google instead. That is the part that has to do with the Epic case. Anyway, Microsoft has said in filings that it wanted to acquire Activision Blizzard in order to build out mobile gaming. Activision Blizzard owns mobile games like Candy Crush, along with mobile versions of its big franchises like Warcraft and Call of Duty. But as Amazon can tell them, launching a third-party app store, not as easy as it sounds. I mean, you can do it on Android, but then you got to teach everybody how to sideload it. And you can't even do it on Apple, though EU laws might force them to allow it. Looks like they may. It's definitely not there yet.
I'm sort of wondering if this was you mentioned Phil Spencer, yapping his lips. And is this really the place to announce something that obviously is going to get a lot of attention? Maybe it is. Maybe this is a tactic. Maybe similar things have been launched at CCXP in the past, but it feels sort of odd for this to be the place where you're hearing about something that obviously affects not only the companies involved, but their users as well.
Yeah, and just to make sure everybody has the context, the news isn't that Microsoft wants to do a mobile store. That's been out there in the public for a while. What Spencer did was say, the sort of weird timeline of like, I don't think it's multiple years. I think it's sooner than that. He said, I think, so he could be wrong. Roger, you play lots of games. What do you think of this?
It sounds like they just want to kind of set the field for a possible introduction. And I think a lot of this kind of is dependent on how quickly they can integrate Activision Blizzard into the Microsoft Xbox framework of how they do things. And it's very interesting because for as much knocking as Netflix gets for having their game ventures be mobile only, I mean, having a mobile footprint seems to be where they want to grow, because Microsoft, I mean, moving forward, they don't necessarily want to be tied down to hardware. They just want eyeballs. And if those eyeballs can be achieved through mobile, especially in countries where Xboxes are very expensive and those games are very expensive, having specifically a streaming way to play a lot of those games at a much reduced rate to get more eyeballs would be a win.
Yeah, well, and to be clear, we're talking about a download store, not necessarily a streaming store, but it could be. We don't really know.
Well, that's the thing. It's very vague. This whole mobile store is very vague. There's really no specifics as to whether or not it's streaming or if it's download only or if it's a combination of the two. It feels like they've stuck their big toe in the water and they're going to see, how cold or warm the water is before they, jump the rest of the body in.
I would push back a little bit on the eyeballs thing too, because the filings that Microsoft made indicated that half of Activision Blizzard's revenues in the first half of 22 came from mobile gaming. So there's a money interest on top of the eyeballs there. There's coins on those eyes, is all I'm saying.
Yes.
It seems to me that we know that this has been in the works for a number of years, and Spencer himself is saying that they're trying to position themselves for the next 10, 20, 30 years even. And so they're definitely playing the long game here. And what it reminds me a little bit of the current political situation in the United States, where you have what everyone assumes are going to be the two main candidates for the two main political parties. Yet
iOS
there
and
are
Android.
but there are people, whether who are kind of the second tier, who are still having debates. Some of them are governors who are going out there having debates with each other.
Are you saying Microsoft is Nikki Haley?
And they're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. The other shoe being the EU, right? If the EU comes down hard on Apple, like they've done with USB-C and all the other things that as we've talked about, the EU loves to EU. So Xbox and Microsoft, they want to be ready for when that happens. So they've got their store ready to go. They've got their full complement of assets from what they've got previously, what they have from Activision Blizzard. And let's roll, because Epic would be scrambling. Apple won the last case with Epic, but that'll probably go into appeal and whatnot. But if the EU makes it happen, then the question is Apple really going to make it an EU only thing where you can have third-party app stores, or are they going to relent and make it so that becomes a global thing just because it's less hassle? I mean, that's TBD, but Europe itself is still, a sizable market. So I think just Microsoft wants to be ready to pull the trigger should Apple get compelled to open up its platform to third-party app stores, just like certain political hopefuls are ready to jump should, one of the two main contenders drop out for age-related reasons or crime-related reasons.
And this brings it back to Sarah's point, which is that could be why Microsoft made this sort of weird choice to talk about this at the CCXP, because they want to drop a little bit of pressure on Apple in the EU's case. The Apple is trying to fight back against being classified as something that has to open up to a third party. They're trying to make their arguments that they don't qualify for those parts of the act. And so now the EU can point to Microsoft's out there saying they want to do a third party game store, and that could be another piece of the puzzle there.
Can I throw in a chaos element?
Sure.
Yes.
Well, Satya Nadella in the last few weeks had mentioned one of his great regrets was killing Windows mobile phones.
Yeah.
And what if Windows Mobile to make some kind of comeback powered by the Xbox store?
I don't think these are on the same track, but you never know. You never know.
Bring back the Lumia, please.
That would be
we need a third player.
Ball.
We need a third player. For those Microsoft people who are trying to straddle ecosystems, either with Google or with Apple.
That would answer this if you're wait, what are they going to do? There's no third-party mobile on Android, but they'd have to create a market. Xbox wants to have a mobile store on as many platforms. In fact, Spencer even said, we want this on Apple, we want this on Android. It's just a matter of how he's going to get that done.
I would have suggested the X phone, but you know what? X is being overused these days.
Oh, everyone's on Q now, so. Yeah,
right. Everyone's also trying to figure out whether or not they have to go back to the office. The mandate to go back to the office, often seen as BTO, for workers who've gotten used to working from home, has flatlined. Now, at least that's what Nick Bloom, who's an economics professor at Stanford University, who studies workplace trends, is saying. In fact, he looked at some numbers, checked a lot of studies, and he declared in a post on X that the return to the workplace is dead.
Yeah, so here's a little background. As of May 2020, the survey of working arrangements and attitudes estimated that 61.5% of paid full workdays were from home. That's May 2020, of course, right? That's at the height of the lockdown. By 2022, you might guess that number fell by about half, indicating people were returning to physical offices somewhere, either because they wanted to or they had to.
RTO, by the way, not BTO. Bloom told CNBC that the share of paid work from home days has been totally flat this year, hovering around 28%. You might say, well, maybe this is still part of an ongoing downward trend of working from home. But Bloom says this number is still 4 times greater than the 7% of remote workers pre-pandemic. Not a lot of people, certainly a lot of people, but not a lot of people in the grand scheme of workers pre-pandemic were working from home. Bloom also notes data from Castle with a K, noting the numbers of employee office swipe-ins, which not every office has them, but larger offices do, shows that office occupancy in the 10 largest U.S. metro areas also flat, hovering around 50% in 2023. Essentially meaning the people who were going to get back into the car and go back to the office have already done so. And now we're in a new normal with some people doing that and some people not going to do that.
Yeah, so the idea that this is going to turn around in 2025 and remote work will start increasing again is fascinating to me. The argument is that in 2024, we are likely to experience an economic slowdown. It may or may not qualify as a recession, but that will tighten the labor market if that happens. And one of the arguments for remote work has been it has persisted because the labor market is so loose that someone can look at a job and say, you know what, if you're going to make me go into the office, then I'm going to go find a remote job because there's plenty of jobs to choose from. If that labor market tightens up, then a lot more people will have to settle for a job that makes them go into an office. And again, I just want to throw this out here right now because some of you are already saying it to your phones or your radios. We're only talking about jobs that can be done from home. We understand that you can't be a security guard on a construction site from home, at least not yet. So this conversation is only about jobs that can be done from home. But those that can, I think are going to suffer from this because people will have fewer choices. However, the counterbalancing factor here is that companies are starting to learn that it costs less to have their workers remote. And so if you have a economic downturn or possibly a recession, they may want to save that money and not make them go back into the office. And then the idea is that technological improvements will continue and make it easier to work from home. It'll make remote work productivity go up. And that's why in 2025, they think it will start to see a rise.
Well, and how many times in the past have all of us maybe read, I don't know, say on LinkedIn or something, there's a job description where you go, gosh, that's totally me, but it's in Singapore. I can't move to Singapore. If there are skilled workers who are the best people for the job who can, for some reason, make it work remotely, and that just wasn't an option before, unless you were in the correct metro area, that helps companies a lot. I know that there's the argument that, people say, well, companies have multi-year leases for these very expensive buildings, let's say, like what is Apple going to do with, the Cupertino, one infinite loop campus? Like if no one's coming back to it, think of how expensive that is to run. Well, Apple's a bad example because they're probably not leasing that from somebody else. But many other companies, you hear about subleases, yes. But also, if work is being done well, no matter where everybody is, and you can cut costs by, I don't know, not having the lights on, 24 hours a day, not stocking the cafeteria with stuff, not paying certain people to be there to work in the cafeteria, for example.
Not running the HVAC. That's why CNET shut down between Christmas and New Year's, because they could just reduce building operations enough to save money.
There you go. It's like I get where if someone says, but we had this great idea and it was supposed to be this way and now it isn't anymore. It's like, I see how it would be hard to let that go. I know not every company is grappling with that necessarily, but I think there's a lot of this but it's better in person. And sometimes it is, but sometimes it isn't.
Well, Tom alluded to, it really depends on the type of work it is, the type of business you've got. And a lot of my friends and colleagues are kind of in information work or marketing and all sorts of stuff where it doesn't really matter where you are. A lot of software developers. Right now, most of them seem to be in this hybrid thing. They kind of landed on going into the office 2 or 3 days a week, and that because a lot of the workplaces are still wanting to see their employees once in a while, which I get. There's a lot of interesting dynamics that happen and opportunities that are afforded to those who actually show up to the office, because especially if executives are there, they like to see people. And if you're getting more face time with executives, management, et cetera, it may behoove you to be in the office a little more often. And so there may end up being some inequities that arise because you've got some people, whether by choice, by preference, or by circumstance, are able to be at the office more. They may somehow get more opportunities by being there. So there's a few things that may be changing with work culture, including things like sick days. Like how many people, when you're sick, I don't know about you, but even pre-COVID, I would still work, and maybe it's because I've got a personality defect, but still would work, a bit, maybe not as much. But nowadays, well, if you're working from home and anyhow, and you're sick, well, I mean, are you really sick? And maybe you should check in anyways. Is it possible for people to take pure sick days and fully disconnect? I think we need to navigate what the expectations are, because there's always going to be a certain class, a certain generation of managers that are skeptical of remote work and all the things that surround it. Another thing with our company, we've been around for 14 years. Limestone Learning, we design online training, which is done by people remotely wherever. But all our team was virtual. We have all contractors, and we've had a distributed workforce the whole time. Just before COVID, we got actual office space because it was required. Exactly. Yeah. It was required for certain high security federal government contracts. We literally got it like September 2019. It's like, oh man. Yeah. We still have that space because apparently we're bad with money, but it's, great for maybe meetings and whatnot. It's like, but there is something to be said for certain types of gatherings, like brainstorming sessions. It all depends on how you're wired as well.
Yeah. No, I don't think anyone's arguing that remote work must win and all work should be remote. And I don't think anyone's even arguing that hybrid should go away. In fact, we're not arguing about which is better here. The story is that it looks like we have hit the bottom in return to work, and that remote work is turning out in practice to be beneficial. And companies are learning, like, okay, we know what the downsides are, but we know what the upsides are. And maybe the upsides are outweighing the downsides. And there are things we can do, like having special events, bringing people into the office from time to time to kind of balance out the downsides. And that's what the numbers are saying from the 10,000 feet look. At least that's what this guy from Stanford is saying.
There's a couple other economic implications for all this. As Sarah alluded to, the commercial real estate, the leases, prices, they're probably going to be some downward pressure on those. Maybe you'll see some converted into residential eventually if there's going to be, if only it's going to be 30% or 60% utilized. But then there's, again, you Tom had mentioned the what's the strength of the job market. A couple of years ago, when we were in the middle of COVID, Facebook started telling people, well, we were paying you salary X because you were having to pay San Francisco real estate or rental prices. Now that you're working remotely, you could be in Wyoming for all we care. Maybe you don't get that kind of premium.
I know somebody who works at Meta who had that absolute conundrum.
It's not you might be in Wyoming. It's, if you're in Wyoming, we're going to pay you a Wyoming salary because it's a different cost of living.
And of course,
that saves companies money as well. So they're more likely to want to support that.
And of course, there's going to be pushback, especially if people have moved to remote places and they're not going to want to take a cut.
I think that's temporary. There's the temporary situation where people move during lockdowns with the understanding they'd keep their salary, and then you have to juggle that. As they hire new people, it won't be as much of a deal because you'll say, this is a remote job. We're going to pay your salary based on where you are, and you'll know that guy's wide open going in.
They've set the table, and especially since they laid off 10,000 people last year.
I always think of myself not totally included in this because I used to enjoy going to the office, although I haven't gone to an office regularly since 2017, before I joined DTNS. And, only sporadically since then. But everyone knows that coworker who kind of keeps to themselves. They don't have to be part of a lot of meetings. They do great work. Maybe they bring their own lunch and don't even, they just kind of come and go and hello, bye. And it's like, that's the great example of a person where I'm like, how can you argue that they need to come into the office? I mean, unless they just like to be sort of introverted but still be around people. There's so many examples of that, and that's why I feel like these numbers are healthy. Let's rethink who needs to collaborate in person and who does not, or who doesn't need to do it 5 days a week.
All right, folks, don't forget we have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show. We do a top 5 show there, along with Android Faithful and a bunch of other stuff. If you would like to check it out, this week's top 5 is tips to help you do tech support for your family as you head into the holidays. Last month, OpenAI announced GPTs, little chat agents that developers can use on their platforms. They were supposed to launch a store in November, then maybe December, but they just announced that the GPT chatbot store will be delayed until next year because, quote, unexpected things have been keeping us busy.
I wonder what they're talking about.
I have no idea.
I wish
Could
there
it
was
be
more
Sam Altman
context.
getting fired and rehired? I have no idea. But that doesn't mean you can't find some GPTs to try. Tristan, you and Tasia have been following the rise of all these custom chatbots on AI Name the Show. What can you tell us about them?
Well, it's since the public debuts of image generation platforms like Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and DALL-E, and then the launch last year of ChatGPT and other large language models, prompt engineering has emerged as a key skill over the last couple of years. But we are not all born prompt engineers, and we're definitely not born coders manipulating the GPT APIs. So what OpenAI has done is allowed us to create these custom GPTs within a no-code environment by basically having a little conversation with the default chatbot for creating these sorts of things. So there are just to set the table, there are already tens of thousands of custom GPTs that people have made already. You can get ones on, I tried one on insurance, like getting insurance advice. It wasn't bad, but then what I did, if you want to test how good some of these are, just try regular ChatGPT and compare your answers. Mm-hmm. I found that my regular ChatGPT with my custom instructions that I have, that I stole from Seth Godin, actually gave me more structured and relevant information in that particular case. But then there are all sorts of wild and wacky GPTs available out there. There's some are useful, like newsletter creators, SEO assistants, search engine optimization for your website, code debuggers, and then there are some where you want to have a chat with Gaius Julius Caesar, or maybe some of the Stoics, or Sun Tzu and the Art of War. Michael Scott from The Office, you can have a conversation with him. One of my current favorites is actually one of the ones developed by OpenAI themselves. It's one of the ones they demoed, and it's called Sticker Whiz. And you could actually create stickers by having a conversation with it. So obviously it's using DALL-E. And so I just threw a few descriptions of our dog and our previous cats over the time. So we got Levi and Simon and Stella and
so
Stanley.
To be clear, you're not asking for each one of these stickers like you would in DALL-E, like make me a sticker. You're just chatting.
Exactly. And you don't have to, create this in this style with dramatic lighting and this. So the whole point with these custom GPTs when they're built is they set the table. It's kind of like how you can do custom instructions for all your chats. Now it's custom instructions on a sort of a bot by bot basis, a GPT by GPT basis. So you don't have to keep reiterating the same things over and over again. And especially when you've got sophisticated queries, it can get really annoying and you're having to like copy and paste things in there to get the sort of answers you want. So with this case with Sticker Whiz, you don't have to say, create me a sticker of blah, blah, blah. It already has that built into its brain that what a sticker might look like.
Because it's purpose built.
Exactly.
I get why that's a great example of why these are better than just using ChatGPT, because I know a lot of people are like, well, why can't I just use the existing tools for that? So these are streamlined. They're faster. They're more efficient. They're better at what they are purporting to do. And I know that there's another benefit of being able to use your own data if you want to build one for your own system. But if we're waiting for that store to come for us to explore these, how do we find them until then?
Well, there are, of course, since this got announced in early November, there's been tons of directories have popped up. And that's part of the challenge is wading through this. No single one has really emerged as the place to go. A couple that are worth checking out. There's one called allgpts.com, which is a pretty simple and clean interface. It's got filters because you can filter by categories because you've got thousands that you're potentially wading through. Another good one is called gptsdev.com. It's more visual. It shows the custom icons for each of them, so to help you browse around. And it has filters too, including those that are trending. I've yet to find one that's got reviews. I think once you start to see some that have ratings and reviews, that will help. I think there's going to be a lot of fallout, a lot of attrition in this space eventually, but it's the Wild West days. This isn't even a month since this happened. It's gotten to the point now where custom GPTs have been made to help you find custom GPTs.
Custom GPT,
yeah.
of course.
So there's GPT.
Why not?
There's GPT Shopkeeper. There's GPT Finder, and so you can load those in to your sidebar and then say, "Find me a GPT that does X," and it will do it for you. And to your point, Tom, I think where the real power is, I mean, this is fun to try other people's, but the coolest part is being able to create your own for personal or business purposes. So you may have discussed in the past, you can load up your company policies, your HR policies, and just have a conversation. Oh, I've been working here for 3 years. How many sick days do I get? Or how many vacation days do I get? And just having like an actual smart chatbot for a change, rather than having to wade through folders and files to find specific policies or bugging your HR manager. You could set up writing styles for different modes of communication based on your brand standards. So what's the style for social media? What's the style for press releases and whatnot? And have the GPT help you with those sorts of things. So there's no code. You're just having a conversation. And the better it's designed, the more the more information you give at the outset, the better your output will be ultimately. So that whole GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So basically, when you want to set one up, you just simply have a conversation with the GPT builder, explain what you want the GPT to accomplish, and then it'll ask you a series of questions that will help your idea materialize. And it's not set in stone. You can go and refine it later, and those refinements will apply to all future chats, not past ones, of course. And then there's a little preview, a little section, a little playground where you can test it out as you're developing it.
Well, folks, if you want to keep up on this, the best way is to follow Tristan and listen to him and Tasia talk about this at AI Name This Show. Real quickly, before we wrap up today's show, Len Peralta has been illustrating exactly what we've just been talking about. Len, tell us about your drawing.
I've been doing this show, and as long with you for a decade, and I've drawn a lot of stuff, and I can't believe I have not drawn this before. This image is exactly the way that I was, as you're listening to you talk about it. This I kind of fits well with ChatGPT and GPTs and developers.
Is this the angry girlfriend meme?
Oh, yeah, distracted boyfriend. Yeah.
Distracted boyfriend. Thank you.
Distracted boyfriend.
Distracted boyfriend.
Yes, you know what? I was reading about it, and it's the exact same thing that I thought would be perfect for this discussion. So if you're collecting these images of the distracted boyfriend, you can go to my Patreon, patreon.com/Len. You can get that immediately by backing me at the DTNS Lover level, or you can go to my online store, lenperaltastore.com, where that is available for purchase, as well as custom drawn holiday cards. Bring them to me. I've got an open queue, and I can draw something special for your birthday. Not for Christmas. Not AI generated, by the way.
For your birthday, too.
And for your birthday.
Yeah. Get that custom bespoke human drawn art from Len Peralta.
Please.
Tristan Jutras, also such a pleasure to have you. Tom mentioned AI Named the Show, but let folks know where they can keep up with the rest of your work.
You can also find me at momentous.tv and limestonelearning.com. And of course, Tasia and I are at AINameThisShow.com.
Patrons, stick around for the extended show Good Day Internet. We have another round of Who Am I? It's a Friday. We're going to try to guess the identity of a person before the final clue is given. It's a fun time. Please join us.
Just a reminder, our show is live Monday through Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. That is 2100 UTC, and you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. We're back on Monday with the best Android phone picks coming from none other than Ayaz Akhtar. He knows his stuff. Talk to you then.
This week's episodes of Daily Tech News Show were created by the following people. Host, producer, and writer Tom Merritt. Host, producer, and writer Sarah Lane. Executive producer and booker Roger Chang. Producer, writer, and co-host Rob Dunwood. Video producer and Twitch producer Joe Kuntz. Technical producer Anthony Lemos. Spanish language host, writer, and producer Dan Campos. Science correspondent Dr. Nikki Ackermans. Social media producer and moderator Zoe Detterding. Our mods, Beatmaster, W. Scottus One, BioCow, Captain Kipper, Steve Rodorama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, a.k.a. Gadget Virtuoso, and J.D. Galloway. Mod and video hosting by Dan Christensen. Music and art provided by Martin Bell. Dan Looters, Mustafa A, Acast, and Len Peralta. Live art performed by Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Tom McNeil. Contributors for this week's shows included Shannon Morse, Patrick Norton, Scott Johnson, Justin Robert Young, and Chris Christensen. And our guest this week was Tristan Jutras. Thanks to all the patrons who make the show possible.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Good show, everybody. Please
Enjoyed
go
it.
to showbot.tv/DTNS2 and name it. You could name it Jacques or perhaps Claude or
I think
Bernice.
there's already a Claude.
Well, you could more than one thing can be named Claude, can't it?
No,
no,
only the one.
That's
Just that one thing.
Only
it's
the
against
one
the law in British
AI,
Columbia. Yeah.
Large language model. Yeah, no, Claude is good. That would be a good name for a cat.
Oh, that is a good cat name. You're right.
You know, here's my cat, Claude.
I love
And I
human
feel like
names.
Claude would kind of just be
CLAW.
like, you know what? Don't mess with me.
CLAWED.
Oh, see what you did there.
Because cats, yeah. Now I get
Cats. Yes, let's
Right.
explain it.
Yeah. Sorry, I was at I've been at like the animal vet like a couple times this week, and so just everything animal related, I'm just like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Animals.
Claude.
I love the idea of giving like animals or pets like super regular human names, like Stephen or
Me
Richard.
too. Yeah. I think
Claudine.
I don't think you were on the show, Tristan, when we talked about this before, but a friend of mine's mother got a dog and named her dog Sarah. Female dog.
Perfect.
And this is a person who knows you.
Yeah. I mean, her mom and I are not like best friends or anything, but she knew me well
Yeah.
before, and probably lots of other Sarahs that are humans before she got the dog, and was just like, that's my dog's name. And I remember just being like, that is odd. But you know what? You can name your animal whatever you like.
You can. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
So just a few days ago, I've got a buddy from high school that I only ever talked to like once every couple of years, but we were quite close in high school. And I saw that he was calling me on my phone. I'm like, oh wow, this is a nice surprise. So I like, hello. I'm like, hello. And he's like, can you come get Chewy out of here? I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, it's you. He named his son Tristan. I guess he was trying to call Tristan on the phone, and Chewy was the dog who was annoying him while he was on a work call.
That's funny. That's really funny. And you're like, Chewy? Like Chewbacca?
I was like, what?
He's like, yeah, the dog, Chewy.
You're in Calgary, and what? I'm like,
Yeah, that's funny.
I
guess I'll catch a flight, be there.
get your dog out of there for
Right. Yeah. You're like, I'm happy to help, but like, why me?
you. Different Tristan.
Yeah. Different Tristan. I actually once had this wasn't pet related, but I had it was a friend of a former coworker who I haven't seen in many years, but is also a friend. But we talk once every couple of years, not that often. I got I guess an iMessage from him. It was something on my MacBook, again years ago, and I sort of wrote back like, I don't know what you're asking me, and then it was like, who's this? And I was like, what is he doing? Like I don't understand the joke, and like I feel sort of weird about it. His son has his same name, so his son somehow got a hold of me thinking that he was getting a hold of another Sarah, because everyone in the world is named Sarah. That's the moral of the story.
Sure.
But Richard was not my friend. It was his kid, who I've never even met.
But if you asked, who is this? He said Richard, because
Yeah, and I was
that's
like,
his name too.
but
Yeah.
what are you asking for? Like, I don't, like,
That's
our whole, everything that we talked about was just, it made no sense. I thought he was trying to play a joke on me that just wasn't very funny. And so I eventually, like, I don't really know. I think I emailed him and was like, hey, like, I'm sorry if I wasn't helpful. I didn't get it. And he was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And eventually we got it together that his teenage son who's not like 3 years old or anything, was actually messaging me thinking that I could be helpful because wires were crossed.
Oh, there you go. These things happen.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to play Who Am I? Roger Chang has selected some figures. What's the theme on these figures? Why do we care about these people?
These are celebrity tech spokespeople.
Celebrity tech spokespeople. There you go. So you got a little bit of a clue into who they are. We'll give you clues, and anybody can guess. Tristan. So Len, Sarah, whoever can guess, and then hopefully we can guess who they are before the last clue.
Do we still do the
no peeking?
No peeking.
I'm not peeking. Do we still do the Sarah and then Tristan?
I don't think with this one you really need to
blurt it out.
Because
blurt it out. See if you're right. Okay,
All right.
got
Hit
it.
the buzzer.
All right.
In the form of a question.
Here's the first clue for the
that would
first
be a
person.
plus. Okay.
With the exception of taking a course in theater games, I these are written in first person as if I'm the person you're trying to guess. With the exception of taking a course in theater games, I never studied acting. My degree from Fordham University was in science. Which makes sense. Celebrity tech spokesperson got a degree in science.
Len.
But just say it, Len. We just went over that.
Sorry. George Plimpton.
Ooh, interesting. The
television.
The guess is George Plimpton. That is not correct.
Okay.
Not correct. But good
television.
guess.
I hated that guy doing those smug in television ads.
I really like my
I didn't even know who he was or how significant he was when I was.
I played for the Detroit Lions once.
Yeah, when I was 10. Who is this old guy?
All right. Clue number 2. Although I'm in my 80s, I host my own podcast. And no, it's not me. It's not me.
Yes, Tom is not speaking for himself. He's the mystery guest.
You might think, 80s, host a podcast, must be
in
Tom.
my 80s own podcast.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know some people who are probably in their 60s and 70s, but I don't know about 80s.
Jane Fonda?
So many people are in their 80s these days.
I'm gonna take a guess.
Yes.
I don't remember his name. He was a writer for Mad Magazine, the Gizwiz.
No one knows what you pressed.
No, I didn't press anything. I was trying to remember the name of Dick DiBartolo.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Dick DiBartolo.
Because if Dick DiBartolo ever hears this and I haven't remembered his name, I'm a dead man.
I thought it was Dick DiBartolo.
It's not Dick. It's not Dick.
Okay, it's wrong. Okay, all right.
Clue number 3. I commuted from my home in New Jersey to Los Angeles every weekend for 11 years. Wow, that just sounds exhausting.
Every weekend.
Yeah, I don't think this narrows it down unless you happened to know this. You're like, oh, that's this person.
It's good trivia, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't think it helps you guess. And okay, this one might help.
Okay.
This one might help. In 1983, it was announced that I would be representing Atari in TV advertising and public relations capacities for the following 5 years.
I don't remember Atari.
So 1983 to 1988. This celebrity tech spokesperson represented Atari. We mentioned in television earlier.
Oh man,
this is Atari.
Wow.
Is this person? Well, the person's still alive because they're doing a podcast.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna take another stab. I know this is probably wrong. Nolan Bushnell.
No, I don't think Nolan Bushnell would count as a celebrity tech person. We would call that a tech executive.
Yes,
because Roger, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you say celebrity, you mean like
I mean celebrity.
Yeah,
yes,
like actor, singer,
radio
people.
Celebrity. But
I don't think Nolan Bushnell has had any hit songs.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The only one that's coming to mind is William Shatner, but he was Commodore.
Yeah, Shatner was Commodore. Yeah.
No, he was.
It's funny how when this happens, you can name
everybody but Atari.
Gotcha.
He eventually got promoted to Commodore.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you can always did Atari commercials. I don't remember seeing Atari commercials.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Have you played Atari today?
I don't know if this one will do it. But if
Probably
it
'cause I
doesn't,
live in
I
the
think
country and we didn't
the
get
final
good
clue, the final clue will probably give it away. But clue
All right.
5 might help you. Might not. I don't know. I was the first person to win an Emmy for acting, writing, and directing. They call that a WAD. Writing, acting, and directing.
Before
Nobody calls it
pre-EGOT era.
Yeah.
They all sound like fungus infections of crops.
Oh, it's
Gosh, William Shatner is a good one. Who is
Alan
like
Alda, is it?
who is
I'm sorry. What did you say, Tristan?
Is Alan Alda? Was he?
Correct.
Really?
oh
Alan
Yeah.
It just
Alda.
it just popped into my head. It was like, I remember him vaguely doing. I didn't know of any of the other stuff, the New Jersey stuff, or
I
I
don't.
didn't know he had a
remember this,
podcast
really.
even. But
Yeah. And
Wow.
he's been associated with Scientific American for years as like one of their
His
advisors.
podcast is Clear and Vivid with Alan Alda.
This all makes sense. This all makes
Right
sense.
age.
Don't remember
wasn't
any
gonna
Atari
come to me,
commercials
but
with Alan
yeah,
Alda.
no, the Atari computers maybe. I think that
Yes.
was like I don't think it was the Atari video games. I think it was the 8-bit
Yeah, we
computers.
didn't say game console.
Yeah,
We
and that's
just
what
said Atari.
and that's what kind of twigged it for me. I was thinking like Shatner and thinking maybe not video computers. I could see Alan Alda like being smug in front of 8-bit computers, but okay.
I mean,
What was
when
the
you
last
win
one?
an Emmy for acting, writing, and directing, I think you have license to be smug.
You got some chops. Yeah.
Was that
the
for
final
his work
clue-
on MASH? I suppose.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And the final
Yeah.
clue was going to be I was the only actor to appear in every episode of MASH.
Loretta Smith.
I would have gotten that one.
Wasn't Hot Lips?
Jamie Farr. Just name them all.
Had I been
Gary
given the
Berghoff.
final clue, I would have gotten.
You're like, guy, okay, who was in the final episode? Who was in
Trapper
the
John.
first episode? Trapper was not there the whole time.
No, he went on to bigger and better things supposedly.
Yeah.
We are dating ourselves because a lot of
Trapper John
people
MD.
don't remember MASH at all.
I mean, I was really little, so
Yeah.
I actually liked it because like my parents would laugh, but I didn't really even understand the show. I just thought it was like
loved it.
funny.
I watched it every night at 10:30 after the news on Channel 2. They would run the reruns while it was still on the
You
air.
guys
So I
had
would
stay
watch.
up till 11 o'clock?
In the
I
summer.
mean, when I was 10, 11, and 12, I did. Yeah.
Sheesh.
on a school night.
Yeah, on a school night.
When
it was
when
like,
was the last? When was the last episode of MASH?
Was it
I want to say
83 or
it's
something?
1983.
I want to say 83.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So I would have been 13 when the last episode.
Okay, all right. So you were a teen,
Yeah.
a young
Yeah.
teen. Yeah,
I f-
yeah.
I
MASH was
found-
like not something I think I only saw it on reruns. Really.
And then there was After MASH.
It was right after, back in the early 90s, when they reran Star Trek The Next Generation. MASH was the last show after that.
I recorded the last episode of MASH on
The rerun.
audio cassette
I did that, not MASH,
because
but
we
I
didn't
did
have a
that too.
VCR.
Just
And-
for like
yes.
posterity type
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
That's
So that was the
cute.
only way to remember things.
And I pointed the mic at the TV speaker.
I used to be able to play the MASH theme on piano.
Oh yeah, that's good. Suicide is
Doesn't,
painless.
doesn't really help me today,
brings on
but
many changes.
you know, it's a party trick.
Was it a
All right.
Panasonic tape recorder, Tom? Blue.
No, it was a realistic tape
Oh,
recorder.
okay.
It was one of
I had
the
a Panasonic.
beige Radio Shack. Yeah.
I think mine was a Sanyo.
Mine was a Sanyo too, my first one.
Can't believe we all did the same thing. That's nuts.
Yeah. All right, are you ready for the second person?
Yes.
Yes.
This one should go pretty quick.
All right.
Yeah, you say
In
that
my-
now, Roger.
In my career as a writer and professional dilettante, I helped found the Paris Review and create the concept of participatory journalism, a sort of postmodern gonzo-esque approach to covering
Oh.
stories.
That's George
Hunter S.
Plimpton.
Thompson.
Len got it.
Yeah.
George Plimpton.
George Plimpton.
There's too many clues in the first clue this one, Roger. That was like
I was
I
trying to
heard
make
Gonzo.
it.
I was like, oh, I know that guy. He didn't.
Gonzo was trying to
He had
throw
nothing
you
to
off
do with the
to
Paris
think Hunter
Review.
S.
That was a
Thompson.
I
dumb-
forgot Lynn was on today, and so I thought, oh,
Well, and also Tristan mentioned him in the
Yes.
last
Yes.
when we were talking about the last one.
Yeah. Yeah.
well, did you know that Jonathan Colton wrote a song about him in 2006?
I
Yes,
do.
I did.
It's one of my favorite Jonathan Colton songs.
I drew the art for that song.
Oh,
My
Picture.
Is it called Big Plimpton?
No, what is that
No.
song called, Tom?
Talk with George.
A Talk with George. Yes.
my cousin went on the Joko cruise, March 2020.
Oh man.
Wow.
But they got away with it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a tough one.
Did that end right before lockdowns? Is
Yeah,
that how
basically,
that?
yeah.
Wow.
They came back right when lockdown happened.
So
Luckily,
clue number
they-
one probably should have been clue number 6, but clue number 6 was I was the Intellivision's most famous spokesperson, appearing in a memorable campaign where I was billed as famous author and gamesman.
What, fencing? Like, what?
Nobody knew who he was. It was
Polo?
Archery.
he's like the Grey Poupon. of video
Condescension?
games.
Is that a sport?
One of the oldest
He-
gamesmans.
So he played with the Detroit Lions. He played with the Boston Bruins, and he was Sid Finch for the Sports Illustrated hoax, which hilariously the hoax was that Sid Finch could throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. At the time, an unthinkable thing, which now, like, everybody could throw.
Everybody
100
does that. Yep.
I can throw 100 mile an hour.
I do
As long as
130.
he's driving at 100
I'm
miles
pretty
an
sure
hour.
that I still can't, but I'll keep working on it.
You could throw 99 though, Sarah, but at the very least.
Yeah, but 100
sure.
is pushing it.
Yeah. On a good day, I bet you could top 100.
What is this baseball thing you guys are talking about? We only have hockey here.
No,
100 mile an
you
hour
have
slap
the
shots.
Blue Jays,
Jays.
right? The Blue Jays.
It's so easy, Tristan.
That's-
There's bases and oh
One
gosh.
team.
In fact,
Do you
Canada
have
should be
4
proud
days
be
for me
the
to explain
only-
how that works?
You should be proud to be the only nation that Major League Baseball thinks is good enough to have a team in its league besides the United States of America.
We used to have 2,
Yeah.
but not anymore.
That
Yeah.
still upsets me. I love the Expos.
What
Actually went to a
they,
base-
where do they move to? The Expos.
Washington.
Rico.
Or the
No,
Washington
They're
Nationals.
the
now.
Nationals now.
But didn't they? I thought it was via. Weren't they in Puerto Rico for a bit or something like that? I thought it was like a sort of a circuitous path.
You're
to get
ringing
where
a
they-
bell like maybe the Expos
Yeah.
played some games as the Expos in Puerto Rico temporarily, or the Nationals
Yeah.
played there temporarily maybe before their stadium was done. Yeah, that does ring a bell. But they were always the Washington Nationals. They were never located in Puerto Rico.
In my defense, I went to a baseball game this summer and the summer before. We've got like a minor league team that's actually a farm team for the Blue Jays. So
Oh, see?
Literally
That's
made up
Vancouver
of
Canadians.
Minor League Baseball. Yeah. All right, we have a third person if you want to try to guess the third
Yes,
person.
let's do it.
Yep, let's do it.
I am a Hollywood icon. I was born and raised in San Francisco in the early 1930s. When I was in 7th grade, I attended Grace Cathedral School for Boys. I sang in the church choir until I shot the bishop during a service with a slingshot. Not with a gun. I think calling this person a Hollywood, well, it's a boy. We already know that. Calling him a Hollywood icon might throw you off a little bit. Because it's not like, Humphrey Bogart or something.
Oh, Humphrey
1930s.
Bogart with a slingshot's quite a
So
image in my
he
head.
was a young man in 1930s.
He went.
then
I was born in the early 1930s.
Okay.
born in the early 1930s.
Born
Okay.
in the early 1930s.
So he was
raised in San Francisco.
in his 20s. It was the 1950s. So he would probably
Yes.
made a big deal in the 50s. Okay.
Clue number 2. In 1976, I was honored with 2 Emmy Award nominations. One for The Streets of San Francisco, and the other for Rich Man, Poor Man.
Oh man. What's his name?
I'm like, I only have one guess, and I can't even think of his name.
Roger, I have to say, the ordering of your clues on this one is exquisite. This is-
Oh my gosh.
I mean, exquisitely not able to guess.
No, the
That's how I
hard
feel.
ones are at the beginning, and they slowly reveal.
yeah.
This is.
I don't
a work of art.
remember.
Right.
I don't remember the guy's name.
I mean,
That's
Tony
auction
Bennett.
trivia.
Tony
No,
Bennett.
no, he wasn't
Not
in the
Tony
streets.
Bennett.
He would have been much older. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony.
Clue
Also,
number
like, I don't
3.
even know if he grew up in San Francisco. He just sang.
But he
about
left his heart
Okay.
there.
Yep. Well,
on the
and
streets of San
Right.
Francisco.
Right
I was
next
an
to the restaurant.
accomplished amateur
Waymo.
magician, which helped me land the starring role for the TV series The Magician in 1973, where I played Anthony Tony Blake, a Playboy philanthropist who used my illusionist skills to solve crimes. Roger just wanted to get this description of the magician in here because it's such a weird show.
I've never heard of this show, but I like
it's
this.
just-
I like
yeah.
this clue. It's just
Yeah,
weird
exactly.
enough.
This clue
Rob-
isn't necessarily helpful, but it's really interesting.
Is it Robert Blake?
It is not Robert Blake. Good, good guess. That would have been too playing to type for him to be cast as Tony
The
Blake.
70s had a weird, bountiful. There were so many crime shows that everyone tried to do. Let's do a crime show, but with this twist on it.
yeah. It's a nun, but it's clue number
not-
4.
yeah.
Clue number 4 might get you there. Let's see. In the 1970s, I was a regular panelist on game shows like Password and the Hollywood Squares.
It's not. It's not.
It's
Telly
not Paul
Savalas.
Lynn. Okay, no, it's not Telly Savalas either.
Oh my gosh. This is really
Circle gets the square.
pushing my 70s knowledge, late 70s, early
I was a
80s television
baby.
knowledge.
How am I going to remember this? Although I loved Password.
Reruns. That's
That
how
was
I
a fun
remembered it.
game.
Reruns.
Well, yeah. Password and Pyramid. Those are the best ones.
I'm trying to remember
Okay, I
who
don't-
used to be on that show.
Paul
Paul
Lynn is
Lynn.
the one everyone
Yeah,
could
Paul
remember.
Lynn.
No one
Yeah.
can remember anyone else. Yeah.
George Goebel. That was another guy.
George Goebel? Wow, good memory. Wow, I had
Deep cut.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, wasn't Carol Channing a regular on
Carol
Hollywood?
Channing.
Yeah.
Wait, it was
Carol Channing was a
Waylon
regular.
Flowers and Madam.
Yeah. Wow, you're really pulling them out.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
when he wasn't on.
What is going on with
Solid
you,
Gold.
Lynn? How do you know these things?
Rip Taylor. It's a Rip Taylor,
Rip
right?
Taylor, classic. All right.
I
none of these are
got
the
nothing.
answer, though. Yeah. Clue number 5.
Is this
In
the
the
last clue?
1980s, no, second to last clue.
Okay.
In the 1980s, I was the face for Tandy's home computers advertising campaign, both on TV and in print.
Oh no! I think it's Ti.
Wow.
Bill Bixby was Ti, right? Or is this,
Oh,
is this
Bill
Bill Bixby?
is correct.
Oh, so the last clue's got to be the Incredible,
Incredible
Hulk.
Hulk.
I played opposite
Yes.
Lou Ferrigno in the Incredible Hulk TV show as Dr. David Banner.
So this is a bit of trivia. Here's a bit of trivia
It
about
was
that.
David.
When he was doing the show, he was very careful to never be photographed with Lou Ferrigno dressed up as the Hulk because he wanted to maintain the illusion for fans and especially for kids that they were the same person. And so
Yeah.
the two could never be together.
So sad. And they were in love.
Were they?
I don't know. It makes a better story.
No, but you know what? This is the second
like,
time
"That's
this
cool."
week that Lou Ferrigno's been brought up. So, like, Lou Ferrigno's son, Lou Ferrigno Jr., I guess, is on the show SWAT. So,
Oh,
there's-
yeah?
Who knew there was a dynasty of Ferrignos, right?
I remember at Dragon Con, everyone would always talk about how Lou Ferrigno would not give autographs for free. He would only give autographs in the paid area.
Trendsetter.
I have a funny story about that. At Dragon Con, I was setting up next to him, next to Lou Ferrigno, and I knocked down his postcards.
Oh,
and
no.
the look that Lou Ferrigno gave me, I thought he was going to wring my neck.
You wouldn't like me if I'm
Smash.
angry.
Oh, that was bad.
Does everyone have a Lou Ferrigno story? Because I have one as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
I actually do.
Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
I interviewed him once. He was in a small role in a movie. I can't remember what it was, but I did the
Was it
the
Hercules?
movie
The
junket.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't Hercules. This would have been like 2000.
Oh, all right. So after he did all the spaghetti Italian sci-fi.
Yeah, it was sort of like a cameo, but he was part of the junket thing. But like
He did. He's probably
somehow,
like
for
this-
some reason,
Yeah.
we decided like let's change it up and like interview him in a gym, where like he's like showing me how to like be like muscly. It was weird. It's on the internet somewhere.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah.
Tristan,
Literally,
what's your
she
Lou
went in
Ferrigno
and she
story?
did curls.
Yeah. It was,
so-
it was odd. It was odd.
Similarly, one of my colleagues, when we were doing the TV show Get Connected, he went and covered Fan Expo, which is a local touring con as well, and Lou Ferrigno was there, and we got This didn't go to air. We aired like the main interview clip, but I was either before or after the interview. I don't know what this guy was thinking. He was a bit of a joker. He's like, "Hey man, you got a big head." It's like, what?
It's like you're picking a fight.
Why would you say that to him?
Yeah. You think he's in prison? Pick a fight with the biggest guy.
It's like, I'm here with Lou Ferrigno. Hey man, you got a big head. And Lou Ferrigno's just like looking at him like, what? What's wrong with
It's
you?
probably the look he gave me when I knocked over all his
When you
stuff.
knocked the post. Yeah. Sarah's the only one here that didn't anger him.
Well, you know
No,
what's interesting?
he was
In
actually
real
a really
life-
nice guy.
When you anger Lou Ferrigno, he turns into a smaller.
I also
He
just
turns
wasn't.
into a
I wasn't stronger than him. I think if I were to have been stronger than him, maybe the interview would have gone differently.
Did he pick you up to
I think
bench
there
press
was a
you?
little of that, like, oh my gosh, isn't it funny how strong I am and you're not?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
No one has any Bill Bixby stories though.
I don't have any Lou Ferrigno stories.
I don't have a single Bill Bixby story.
No,
I'm
Bill
sorry,
Bixby.
everyone. I know.
I've been very careful never to be photographed with Lou Ferrigno. So I can't interview him. 'Cause I don't want to ruin the illusion.
Wants to
that-
maintain the illusion.
He and I- Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us for this week. Big thanks to everybody who supports us at patreon.com/DTNS. Hope you have as much fun doing this. If you're a patron, Roger, we're still taking submissions, right? For being
Yes.
on our listener co-host show, which is going to be a game show. It's going to be fun, like a fun Friday show.
Oh, that's cool.
But get him in if you want to get him in. Get him in before the middle of next week, so I can start sending out. Actually, before this weekend. If you can get him this weekend, it'd be great. There's been a
2 minutes. You got 2 minutes.
Oh no.
Hurry up.
I just realized there's been a lot of respondents to it, so I'm gonna have to do a form of a lottery to narrow down the picks.
But I'm encouraging you to make Roger's job harder. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com because the more the better to choose from. Thank you to BioCal for liking our listener co-host show post so that it's easy to find. Howard giving us a comment on our Best of GDI post out there. Of course, RW Nash always in there chatting with us. Good to see you in there, Roger. And thank you to the folks on Twitch who support us there. GPEG84 resubscribing. I said that a couple of days ago. And CB cheered us with 111 bits and subscribed at tier 3 for the 55th month.
Wow.
Nancy B, you're a mensch. Aussie Mike resubscribing with Prime for the 49th month. Aussie Mike is amazing as well. SW Texas cheering with 100 bits. Cosmo77 giving us a follow. Zoe brings bacon with bits. PC Milesy with bits. Razan resubscribed with Prime for the 24th month. That's going to do it for us. Tristan, thanks so much for hanging out with us today, man.
Thanks for having me again. Always fun.
Go get AI Named This Show, folks. AINameThisShow.com, or just type it into your favorite podcatcher. Until Monday, with IS. Have a good day.
Good day.
Have a good day.
And weekend internet.
Good day.
All right, we are still live. Everyone can hear everything we say. And so I will tell a secret. The top vote getter for the DTNS title is the EU is the other shoe.
Oh, that's cute.
Submitted by Zoe Brings Bacon. It is
Good.
actually
Nice.
tied with Remotely Possible from Stealth Dave and Good Day A from Zoe Brings Bacon.
Remotely Possible is great. That's good.
Yeah, Remotely Possible is what I went with, actually. That's perfect. Because it kind of applies to more than just the remote working.
I like that.
Yeah. We also got Better Garbage In, Garbage Out, a reference from Moose2271 to Tristan's comment on that.
Oh, Gigo.
Gigo. GPTs galore. Claude is good. Oh, that's funny. From the Reverb Mic. Using AI on a bot-by-bot basis.
Ooh.
Jacques-Claude Bernice.
Ah.
Everyone is named Sarah from Nancy B. All right, so remotely possible is what we went with for DTNS. We have not picked a GDI title. The top vote getter is from Stealth Dave. What's your Lou Ferrigno story?
Love it.
That's a
Like
good
everyone has one apparently, except for me.
Except Tom.
one. Oh, Roger, you don't have one?
I didn't.
Oh.
Well, I mean,
I-
you have time. You have time.
I've met
Neither
so
one of
this
us
is the
are-
thing, I've
yeah.
met Lou Ferrigno at Comic-Con, but I don't have a story. It's just like, hi.
There's no like he
Like, oh, he
slapped
took
me.
my nachos and started eating them. Like, So-
You just
Nothing
you,
weird.
you have the story. It's just maybe not as interesting as the other ones. But
Everybody's met him, right?
yeah.
So
Lou
it's
haven't-
Ferrigno
like
I
with my
haven't.
nachos.
I've
Yeah.
never met Lou Ferrigno.
you didn't? I thought
No.
you did.
You would know if you did. He's you can't miss him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not something I would forget. A World Full of Sarahs from Moose2271.
Including people's dogs.
That sounds like an indie song.
Oh.
I Shot the Bishop, also from Moose.
Who shot a bishop?
Bill Bixby.
I
He
don't
was
get
on
it.
the crack
Oh,
Lou
show.
Ferrigno.
Oh.
With the-
I was
with
thinking
the
I shot the
fringe
sheriff.
guy.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Got it.
Different Tristan from Reverb Mike. Let's see. Ambiguous Friday Trivia from GPEG84. There's no Canada in baseball from Clinton Woodward. The world's oldest gamesman. I'm still there. I mean, but we're going with what's your Lou Ferrigno story, right?
Yeah, that's good.
It has to be.
Just want to do the
Yeah.
double R on that one.
I was just about to say, yeah, double check that spelling on Ferrigno. Just
Got it.
Thank you everybody for being with us. Have a wonderful
it was a
weekend.
fun day, y'all.
Was.
We're gonna go send you to raid now, but I closed my Twitch chat accidentally, so I don't know when. Bye.
Joe.
Great.
I gotta go dose up.